Take two, because I managed to screw this attempt up last time by putting my camera in slow-mo with no audio, which obviously isn't fantastic for viewers. Anyway, the question I most get commonly asked is how to open a gym, but I think that's a bit of an open-ended question. I could probably waffle on about that for the next fucking 6 months, and you don't want to hear that. So thought I'd do it with a time frame, because a lot of things have changed in the industry and in the planning laws in the last 6 months, which I didn't have when I opened 6 years ago. And one of the biggest fucking ball aches when I opened a new gym was the planning, the change of use from warehouse, from office, from whatever the unit was before, to D2 or D1, depends on what kind of facility you have. We always had to have D2, but I know some people who had to have D1. Not really too sure why. I'm not a genius in that. It's just what I've learned over the years. We used to do our planning permission ourselves, and it depends on what council you have. The councils in Warwickshire and Stratford are a bit tougher. And say, for example, you have one car park space too little, then you would have to appeal and then do cycle to work schemes, all sorts of rubbish to jump through hoops to be able to get change of use and be able to open, which sometimes could took 6-8 months on its own. We've been in positions where we've opened gyms and we've literally got planning the day before, but we've had to bite the bullet and go for it, because if we didn't, we'd miss the open day, we'd miss the kind of schedule we wanted, and we'd miss the influx of people post Christmas or post summer. So we kind of just got on with it. And also, because we mainly got brand new kit, you also had to order that before, which is on a 14-week lead time. So all these timings kind of added to the stress of opening a facility. With the new planning, I googled it earlier on, it's planning E, which is now e-planning, which you can go into your local council and find out exactly what e-planning is. But it basically means that they've grouped a load of planning things, whatever you call them, D1, D2, all those kind of annoying things together, and create this e-planning. So if you're a one, you can now go to the other without permission. If you're in another, you can go to another without permission, and it makes the whole process quicker. So things like high streets, some warehouses, some office space, you can now basically, I think, just as it's simple as writing the council a letter to let them know that you're opening a gym in what used to be a warehouse, if it's got e-planning, something like that. But go and do your research. It's along those lines, and it's a lot quicker. It's literally overnight now. That's how we opened the studio. That's how we just missed it for Shrewsbury, but Shrewsbury was super simple. So there is people that can help you do this. I have a solicitor that helps me do mine now, but again, when we started, I did it myself. So that is one massive, huge advantage you have right now. Number two is obviously the location. You need to find the right location. You can't just expect to open the doors and people will come in. I'm going to come on to a bit more in depth later about how I suggest that you go, or what I suggest you do before you open a gym. But find the right location, again, is key. But you know your local area, you know where to go. That is kind of on you. But do please make sure you do your research. We've opened gyms in not necessarily the right location before, and they have worked, but they are just a bit slower. Shrewsbury's an example. Amazing footfall, really busy road. We thought it would fly. It's doing really well now, but it took longer than we expected, probably due to the fact they got shut down 3 times due to COVID. But that's a prime example of, now we've been in Shrewsbury, now Nathan's lived in Shrewsbury, he's kind of said we should have opened it here and done a lot better, a lot quicker. Doesn't matter because it's still working, but that's a prime example of where you should have done your research a bit better, which that's my bad, I didn't. Number two is savings. I saved only £10,000 to open Fitness Works. That's all we saved. That's all we had in the bank. And then I used other funding because I got turned down by every high street bank. They said no. They wouldn't lend it to me because I was too young. I needed another 22,000. So instead of giving up, which I know a lot of people have and a lot of people will, you have to go and find alternative funding. There's a lot of government schemes out there, young entrepreneurial schemes. There's people that will support startups, new companies, old companies. The place and the UK want businesses to open. They want new small businesses because it's what's going to drive us and it's what's going to make the economy hopefully build back up again. But you need to not give up. You need to go out and look. You need to make sure that you are being creative because the funding is out there. Don't just give up at your first hurdle. Don't just give up at your local bank. Don't just give up at your mom. Don't just give up at your dad. I started this with £10,000 and look, now we're at 8 sites. So you do not need as much money as people think. You do not need 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100,000 pounds to open a gym. My one thing I would say though is please make sure that you do have enough funding to support the business for 6 to 12 months, even 18 months, because it is tough at the moment. Like I said a minute ago, if you open the doors, people won't just flood in. You do need to do your marketing. You do need to make sure you have a client base. You do need to make sure that you know people. You do need to make sure that you network. People won't just flood in your door. And if you're already up to your eyeballs in payments, in leases, in leased kit, in staffing, in all the other things that come along with owning your own facility, then that becomes very stressful. You haven't started a business to wake up every day stressed, go to bed every day stressed, even though granted I do, but it's for different reasons now. It's not because I can't afford to pay my bills. That'd be an absolute nightmare, and you don't get into this to do that. So please make sure you are sensible. Please make sure you do go off worst case scenario. Go off the fact that you may only get 25% of your business plan in the door in the first 6 months, because it's tough at the moment. And business plans are brilliant, you do need one, but at the end of the day, if you've never been in the business before, you've never been in this industry before, a business plan is a bit of a guess. It's a bit like that thing where you put your finger in the air and just fucking guess, because you don't know who's going to come in the door. You don't know who is going to buy personal training. You don't know who's going to sign up to your classes. You don't know who's going to buy a day pass. It's all a bit of a guess. You can hope that this is what's going to happen, and that's really all it is. Personally, I think it's just a bit of hope until you've actually built a business and you understand how to make it work. It's just a guess, but it's good to have those kind of milestones and those targets to be able to get your membership to XYZ. So you don't need as much money as you think. Mine was just £10,000 that I transferred out of my personal account because I was going to buy a house, because that's what apparently society says you need to do. You need to buy it by XYZ. And then I decided, F you, I'm not buying a house at that age. Transferred it over, and now look, I've got FitnessWorks, I've got my house, I've got a lot of things that I didn't think I would have by the age of 30. That is because I risked everything back then to open this FitnessWorks site. My parents did, my dad did, my brothers did. We put our hearts and souls into it. So that's where it comes on to. You need to make sure you have passion. This job isn't your 9 to 5. This job isn't a quick get out. This job isn't making loads of money and buggering off. This job isn't a laptop lifestyle where you live on the beach telling your staff what to do. This job is a 6 in the morning till 10 p.m. at night, Monday to Sunday. It is a 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year business. People are always coming in and out. It's a service business. It's a very people-focused business. There's always there's always something going wrong. There's always someone that needs your attention. So don't think you're going to come into opening a gym and you're going to be able to go and sit on the Caribbean and drink strawberry daiquiris, because I can guarantee you that does not fucking happen. You may do, but you'll still be on your phone potentially until obviously you built up to where you've got people that can run it for you. But again, time comes back to the fact that you need to have finances to fund the time. Lastly is don't overcommit. Don't try and compete with Pure Gym. Don't try and compete with Anytime Fitnesses. It's took me 6-7 years to be able to finally be able to go and afford to spend 80, 90, 100,000 pounds on a cardio suite, on new machines, on new roofs, on new ceilings, on new lighting, on aircon. It's took me 6-7 years to get to that. Originally, before I did have second-hand kit, I had quite a lot of new kit, but I had some bits that were second-hand. I had old treadmills, I had old rowers. But over time, I built up, used the money, used my cash flow to build pretty good gym at Kenilworth. I was very fortunate, and this is where I'm going to come on to. I would always build a client base through personal training before you opened your own facility in your local area. You will know your local area better than anybody, so go out and get a name for yourself. Become a very busy personal trainer. Become that fitness person in your local area. Because trust me, when I left my old job and moved to an old cabin before I started FitnessWorks, all my clients followed me. They then followed me to FitnessWorks, and we had a PayPal go. And in the first weekend, FitnessWorks got shut down for money laundering. That is because that is a true story, and it's because I built up a loyal client base for 5-6 years previously to that, who followed me to my cabin, who then followed me to FitnessWorks, and they showed me that much support that they paid for their personal training for 6-8 weeks, 12 weeks up front, just because they wanted to make sure that I would be successful. And I owe them the world. I owe them quite a lot. A lot of them are still members. A lot of them still do personal training here. A lot of them I still say hello to every time I see them. I'm still good friends with the majority of those. But that is because I put the work in 4 or 5 years beforehand and created. That's what's good about personal training, that you can create proper solid relationships with people. So you don't need as much money as you think. You just need to be creative. You don't need planning a long, annoying planning applications anymore, so you can move a lot faster than you could before. Please make sure that you do have enough funding in your bank account to support worst case scenario. I hope it's not worst case scenario, but occasionally it is worst case scenario. So that's my few tips for opening a gym in 6 months. It's very, very doable. You just need passion, you just need determination, you just need a bit of grit, you need to put up a lot of shit, and you just need to be able to take no a lot of times and rejection a lot of times. But like I said on my Instagram before, once you start seeing the results, you see people buying into what you've created, it's quite a cool and a very, is it humbling maybe? Very humbling, yeah, use that word, humbling. So if you're thinking about doing it, or if you own a gym, please make sure you drop a comment below and let me know. Or you would like to open a gym, or you just like going to the gym, I'd like to chat to you below. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel, and if you would not mind, please hit the thumbs up. But that's how you open a gym in 6 months, people. The basics and some things that you need to think about. It is doable, but just number one, do not overcommit yourself. Start small, build big. Peace.